Good morning. Welcome to Daily Devotions with me, Pastor Stephen, your pastor of the Northwoods and of Family Worship Center. How are we doing today? It's been a little bit since I've uploaded. Hasn't been for lack of trying. Been very busy. Summers get crazy. Vacations, camps. We're in the thick of camp season right now, and then had the opportunity to help out some family members at a local coffee shop this week. So they needed some help. And so I was like, you know what? I can. I know how to read directions. I'm a very good reader. I've always said that. I'm proud of this about myself. Like, I can walk into any like workplace, right? And I tell them like, hey, do you know how to do this? And it's like that's not important. Do you know how to give me instructions? And I will follow them so good, like to a T. I'm so good at instruction following. Okay, give me direction, you point, and I go to exactly where you pointed. I learned that very early on in life. I remember as a kid going and helping my uncles because they own a construction company in South Dakota. You know, like you're 15, 16. You're like, I don't know how to build a house, but you don't need to know how to build a house. They say, take this hammer, take this nail, and hammer that nail right there, and you do that, and now you just listen to the next one and the next one. Now you're building a house, right? Now you're cleaning up the area. Now you're doing, so it's like, I don't need to know how to do everything. You just tell me what to do right now, and then I'll do it, right? So it was fun to go to a coffee shop, and you hear some of the names of the drinks, and I'm like, I couldn't do that. But you look down and they got this drink's ordered. Here's the instruction. And I'm boom. And so I think everyone left happy. But what I left that place with was a new name. So I'm Steve. You may now refer to me as Barista Steve, the barista. And we'll roll with that. And if you call out my name that for the rest of my life, I'll just gotta live with it. That's fine. I'll make you coffee. I made my coffee this morning. Much simpler than all the iced caramel macchiatos I've been making the last 7 days. This area loves caramel macchiatos, iced. Well, anyway, that's enough about me and the update. We're in Matthew. I pulled up the verse today. I actually had no prep today. I didn't look. I was like, we're just gonna pull it up and see what happens because I've been so out of the loop. Sometimes it's good to just dive in, right? Don't worry about prep. Don't worry about anything. Dive in. See what you get. If it's not a good episode, whatever. But I was excited because I do like this verse a lot. You'll find that I like a lot of verses in the Bible a lot. But this one, I've had previous discussions about before in different Bible studies. And here, both my cats are over here this morning. It says, Matthew 16:15 through 16, but what about you, he asked. Who do you say I am? All right. Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. We have our first question answered. Who's talking? Who do you say I am? Who's talking? Peter answered, you're the Messiah, the Son of God. So Jesus is asking Peter here, but what about you? Who do you say that I am? And so we have double questions here. This implies, right? So not just implies, but like when you read it, it's pretty obvious that this is there's been a discussion, a series of questions, potentially some back and forth between either some people that Jesus is observing or Jesus himself, and he stops the conversation or stops and it gets to his turn, and he stops and he looks at Peter and he goes, well, what about you? What's your opinion? What's your thought? What's going through your clanker, right? What I want to know what you think. Who do you say that I am, right? And then he gives his answer. So I want to go look at that quick conversation because it's going to kind of illuminate where things and how they got there. So read full chapter because we love our context. And right here, Peter declares that Jesus is the Messiah. We already got a little tidbit of that, right, where he said, you are the Messiah, living God. So we kind of got the spoiler of what he says. But I think the beginning part here, let me let me pull this down here so you can see the whole thing. There we go. It says, when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked the disciples, "Who do you say the Son of Man is?" So Jesus is in discussion with his disciples. Who do people say the Son of Man is? All right. So he's asking, like, hey guys, you've been out and about, right? You've been an extension of me. What are you guys hearing? Give me your thoughts. What are you guys hearing? And they replied, well, some say John the Baptist, right? Others are saying it's Elijah. Yeah, he's come, he's back, right? And so, and they got some others, right? Yeah, they're probably like, maybe it's Jeremiah, one of the prophets. So this is what they're like. This is what we're hearing, right? As we're going out and doing stuff, we're hearing people talk about the Son of Man and people's speculation for who haven't seen you or what they've heard, right? The rumor mill is going, and so Jesus is kind of getting feel of the room, right? Feel of the area, and these are some of the answers, right? And then so this is what people are saying. This is what others are saying. This is what organizations are saying. This is just what's out and about. And Jesus stops everyone. He says, well, what about you? He asked, who do you say that I am? So we find out that this wasn't directly asked at Peter only. He actually asked this to all the disciples, and Peter was the one that chimed up. So, and I do believe that Peter spoke for the group, right? I don't feel this is only Peter's opinion. It's just that, he's been hearing this and this. Say, hey guys, tell me what you're hearing. Tell me what you're hearing. Tell me. Okay, but what about you guys? Well, who do you say that I am? All right. What an important question. Because now we got to bring it to us. Devotions are about self. What does this say to me, right? And how can I apply it to my life and take it into workplace, home, church, all that stuff? Jesus is asking the question to us. And we have a very simple, this is very easy to contextualize, my opinion, because there is a lot of speculation about who Jesus is, who his church is, what they stand for, who God is, the different belief structures and stuff like that. We know this because we've had conversations with people and we have ears or eyes because we read stuff online, right? So there is no shortage of examples for this. Who do people say the Son of Man is? Well, let's take a quick Google search and figure it out. Like, it does not take long. I could go knock on my neighbor's door and ask this question, and thankfully I have really nice neighbors. They'd probably say hi first, but you get the point, right? You're gonna get things, a smorgasbord, right? And so because we have that and we live in that current context, and that this answer, right, that people gave to the disciples, we might replace some of the names, right? But you could just even use, some say it's John Smith, right? Some say it's Muhammad. Some say it's, it's Nirvana. You can fill in the blank, right? Some say this, some say that, some say, right? And Jesus is asking the question, and I've hearkened this, if you go back to previous daily devotions, and I'm going to say it in future ones too, a lot. The reason Jesus asks, but what about you? Who do you say that I am? It's because the most powerful witness you can give is one-on-one. To be able to connect relationally with people in everyday life. And it is very, very important that you have an answer to who is God? Who is Jesus? Jesus is asking the disciples, who do you say that I am? Because Jesus needs to hear the correct answer. He needs to hear that they know who Jesus is, because they're the ones that are going to go out and make connections with people, and they're going to run into people who have their speculations of who Jesus is. And Jesus is like, you're my disciples. You need to be able to say You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. So when Peter gave that answer, we see in verse 17 through 20 here, Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven," right? And I tell you, and I tell you that you are Peter, right? The Greek word Peter, rock. And on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Then he ordered his disciples to not tell anyone that he was the Messiah. So, 20 is its own devotion. So, I mean, I apologize. I just don't have enough time. I do, but I try to keep these semi-concise. So we'll just kind of talk about up to verse 18, okay? Now, Jesus obviously gave a charge to Simon Peter, or to Peter, I should say. I will build the church. But I do believe that even this can be contextualized to us, that if we are professing Christians that align with what Jesus is wanting and what the disciples agreed with here, that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of the living God, then we are what is what the church is being built upon. If we don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, or maybe we thought he was but he died, or that God is not good, or he's not powerful enough, or whatever, he's not a living God, right? If we don't believe those things, then we are not the foundation that God is building his church. And so our witnessing power, our ability to witness to people, needs to be consistent and true with what is presented with Scripture. That our speculations of Jesus need to stop. And instead, we need to look at the things that we know are true and present that to people in a very relational way. Because I know Jesus asked, "But what about you? Who do you say I am?" I think people who are wanting to know who Jesus is, who are inquisitive, will ask you the same question. "Hey, you go to church. Why do you go to church?" It's this question. It's verse 15. "Hey, why didn't you get, that guy was a complete jerk. Why didn't you give him the 1-2? Why did you reel back? Why were you kind?" That's verse 15. Anytime there's a question that you can answer with, "Because Jesus is in my life," or "Jesus is leading me," or "Jesus saved me," or anytime that we can point the meter to Jesus the Messiah, that's a verse 15 question. That is a Matthew chapter 16 verse 15 question. Why did you do this? Why do you think that way? Why do you believe this? Why do you go to that church? Why are you, wait, what? You're doing this volunteering stuff for free? There's a zillion ways to ask this question. And we need to be in the mindset that, "Oh, this person just asked me a Matthew 16:15 question. And now I have the opportunity to respond with a Matthew 16:16 answer." It may not be this exact sentence, but as long as we're pointing to Jesus, who is the Messiah, the Son of the living God, the one who promised he'd come back someday, who died on the cross and rose again for our sins. Ooh, my son's dropped something there above me. That scared me. I gotta listen for a cry just in case that was his head. We're good. Okay. If you have sons, or just kids in general, you understood what I just did there. When we hear Matthew 16:15 questions in our life, we have an opportunity to give a Matthew 16:16 answer. And that's the witnessing power. I go to this church because the outpouring of the Holy Spirit is there. And when I go there, I'm united with fellow believers. We encourage each other, and you and then share your experience. You don't have to give this, "That's the best preaching I've ever heard." It's you tell them why. Tell them your experience, and then tie it into Jesus and who he is, right? Give a Matthew 16:16 answer. So my encouragement for today when we read this together is begin to listen to people when you're having a relation, right? You're talking one-on-one with people, or as a small group, or out to lunch with people, or you're working with them, or whatever it is. Listen for Matthew 15:16 questions and be prepared to give a Matthew 16:16 answer. And if we can get that right, not only can we fold new Christians into the fray, or I call it the fray because we're the spiritual battleground, right? It is there is a battle for your soul. So that it is a fray, right? Jesus is bringing order, but we are currently in chaos. We want to fold people in, right? Or maybe they're a believer, but they're still asking this question because they're either lost, or maybe they've backslidden, or maybe they're just... It is so good to ask questions to build faith. Don't be afraid of questions. Questions are a great opportunity. Jesus asked them, "Who do you say that I am?" Don't be afraid of questions. I know for a long time believers like, why would you question that? It's like, no, give me questions, and I'll give you Matthew 16:16 answers. That's the power. Awesome. Well, what a great verse to come back to on after being gone for a few weeks, a lot of weeks. Good stuff. Well, hey, thank you for joining me today. This has been your daily devotion with me, Pastor Stephen of Family Worship Center, as well as your pastor of the Northwoods. Special shout out to Sandy, a wonderful lady at my church who built me. She had found a really nice walking stick, and she had carved in the daily devotion stuff into it, and then of course made it purple and yellow. Go Vikings! And now I got it. Where did I put it? It's upstairs. The boys were playing with it. So, thank you. If you're watching, I know you watch the videos every now and again, so thank you. Meant a lot. And yeah, with that, I'm going to head out of here. Peace. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.